It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
Yeah, okay. Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your host, Nicholas, and as always, I am joined with the final girl, Natasha.
Oh, hey guys. This week we are going to be going over our Patreon voted on movie, The Fly. So thanks, guys. From 1986, it's considered an American science fiction horror film, directed and written by David Cronenberg and produced by Brooks Films. It stars Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz, and it's loosely based on a 1957 short story of the same name, and which I didn't realize, a 1958 film by the same name, which I think has Vincent Price in it.
I believe so, yes.
Talking at the beginning. It tells the story of an eccentric scientist who, after one of his experiments goes wrong, slowly turns into a fly hybrid creature.
You find yourself going, man, I wish I had more Pod of the Dead. Well, you're in luck. We have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/podofthedead666, you can find us there and get the full videos of our episodes with added content such as serious pasta for serious people. So again, that is patreon.com/podofthedead666.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
So, when you were covering that, you said it's produced by Mel Productions or Brooks Productions. That's Mel Brooks.
Oh.
Yes, he kept his name. Yeah, Mel Brooks was one of the main producers for this movie. So if that name sounds familiar, you're talking Blazing Saddles, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and the like. So yeah, like he kept his name in the shadows up until it was like shown at festivals and stuff, and yeah, like this is a Mel Brooks produced movie, which is very interesting, to say the least. So that overview though that you gave does not sound like what I read when I was doing research for this. I found a few different ones and they're all very different.
This just keeps happening.
I know, I don't understand. So like an industrialist invites some experts to visit his theme park of genetically spliced human flies. After a power failure, the creatures run loose, putting everyone's lives, including his grandchildren's, in danger.
Jurassic Park.
Yes, Jeff Goldblum.
But your version sounds so bad. That sounds terrifying. Jeff
Goldblum playing Seth Brundle in this. He was, I believe, it was Malcolm in Jurassic Park. Okay, so maybe that wasn't it. Maybe the spirits of a deceased couple are harassed by an unbearable family that has moved into their home and hire a malicious, genetically spliced human fly to drive them out.
You had fun with this one. Gina Davis.
And what's the movie?
From Beetlejuice.
There you go. Yes. Gina Davis plays Ronnie in this, and she plays, I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, which is a huge red flag for me. But yeah, she's...
Linda?
No, it's not. Something that's interesting, though, is during the making of this film, and there's another one, but in the making of this film and stuff, Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis were a romantic couple during, like they were together at this. So, but the last one that I've got is 5 siblings are left alone all summer when their mom leaves town and the evil genetically spliced human fly bites the dust.
Is this The Babysitter's Dead?
Yes,
don't tell mom the baby.
Yep, John Getz, who plays Stathis in this, is in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter Said. You went 3 for 3 on this one.
Dude, I'm so proud of myself for that last
one. There you go. Yeah. So, David Cronenberg, a little bit on him. He's our director. He ended up basically doing some sprucing up on the script and everything and like made it his own. He is known as like the king of body horror. He's got 47 directorial credits going back to 1966. all the way up till 2024 with the release of his movie The Shrouds. So that's 58 years as a director.
Wow.
To name a few of his films that he's known for, you've got The Fly from 83, from 86 rather, Videodrome from 83, Dead Ringers from 88, The Brood from 79, Crimes of the Future from 22, Scanners from 81, Crash from 96, and The History of Violence from 2005. So you don't know any of those movies?
I've heard of none of them.
I think you would really like Crash. It's not so much it is a horror film, but not like this. It's more, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I think it deals with like people that are like into being into car crashes or something to that.
They're into being into car like that.
It's like a sexual thing. Yeah, it's like a sexual. Whoa. It's a weird. I can't remember all the ins and outs of it. Like I said, like that came out in '96, and I think I saw it once, and I was like, okay, that was fucking weird. But that one might be up your alley. Another thing that you may know the name of is Cronenberg. His son Brandon Cronenberg is an alumni of this podcast. He did Infinity Pool and did Possessor.
Okay. So yeah, the name sounded familiar, but when you were pairing it with all of those other movies, I just thought I just heard it in the wind.
Yep. No, he's like a, for lack of a better term, like a Rushmore director. Like you've got like fucking Cronenberg, you've got John Carpenter, you've got, Wes Craven. Like Cronenberg has a vibe, like even to the point where in what is the show, Rick and Morty, there is a planet of Cronenberg monsters, and it's a very specific, and it's kind of a play off of the Brundlefly in this movie, but they're like mantises in, like they're really messed up looking.
Okay. I think I've seen that reference, but just never knew what it was.
Yep. So whenever something is like literally like in literary terms, things can be brought up as like Lovecraftian, it's like H.P. Lovecraft. There will be people that will refer to things of like Cronenbergian, where it's like, because a lot of his body horror and stuff is like this weird, like, what is to be human and all of this stuff, and like that kind of weird take and stuff. Like Videodrome really plays on that stuff, and I love Videodrome. We'll cover it one day on this podcast. It's a fucking trip of a movie. But yeah, The Fly is your introduction to Cronenberg. So
I gotta say, I've heard of The Fly. I've heard it referenced. I know Jeff Goldblum is in it. This movie was nothing. Nothing like I thought it was going to be, which isn't a bad thing, but man, it was something. Glad I finally watched it.
Yeah, there you go. Mark it off the list.
Yeah.
So those involved in the making, well, before I get into all this shit, right? Your history with the film is nothing up until now.
Just told you.
Yep. My history is I saw this at a very young age. It was the early 90s. And yep, I'm pretty sure that mom was like, oh, you like horror films and stuff, little Nick? Here, check this one out. Which is insane because there's so much sex and stuff in this film and everything. But I guess you had to have been there.
Oh, the 90s. Yeah.
But this is one of those movies that has always kind of been in my back pocket of like growing up. There are just certain films that it's like, oh, The Thing, The Fly, there's just like, why does Nick like gloopy creature featurey stuff? Oh, because Nick saw The Fly when he was like 10.
Why watched the last half of it with me this morning?
Oh my god. Yes, fuck yes.
I don't know what I was doing. At one point, like I just kept going like, dude, the special effects in this are awesome. Check out all those prosthetics. And then the milk came out, and I paused it, and I was like, do you want to keep watching this? He goes, no.
No, please, no.
I was like, you can walk out. But he was just like putting himself through it.
He's just like fucking mortified and frozen in fear, stuck in the moment. Surely it'll end. Oh god, it's even worse.
No, it's not. So he just like ran off to his room.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious.
Like, it's all fake, right? Yeah.
No.
Okay, I love you.
Brundlefly's gonna get me. But yeah, so this movie came out in 1986. So what do you think its budget was?
Ooh, big. This is 20th Century Fox. Does that have anything to do with it, budget-wise, or is that just the distribution?
Distribution mostly.
Okay.
But like, keep in mind it's the 80s. When you're thinking like what you think a budget is now for a high budget,
gotcha.
and what you think a budget is in the 80s for a high budget, keep that in mind.
Account for
Yep.
opposite of inflation. I'm gonna say $2 million.
This movie was made for $12 million.
Okay, I really course corrected that. Like, I don't know the concept of money anymore.
It's somewhere between $100 million and $100. Am I somewhere on that spectrum? Yeah,
give or take.
You're on some sort of spectrum. But okay, so this came out 1986. What do you think it ended up bringing in at the box office?
Also, a lot. I feel like this was like a cultural phenomena back in the 80s. Like everyone had to have seen it. Do you know when it came out? Like what time of year it came out?
That I don't have in front of me. I know what other movies were coming out that year. If you want to know if you want to dip your pool into what horror films were coming out that year and stuff like that.
Yeah, or even if like Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis were known people at this time. Barely.
They had a history of films before them, but this is before Beetlejuice. This is before, that's all kind like Jeff Goldblum had been doing films and stuff, but nothing like this. There's actually pushback from the studio when they wanted to cast him as Seth Brundle, and Cronenberg was like, absolutely not. This guy wants I want this guy. And then through Jeff Goldblum, he's like, hey, the character Ronnie, my girlfriend Gina Davis would be fucking great. And that's how she got into it.
So they weren't a couple. I thought they were a couple like as the movie happened, but they were already a couple.
Yes, they were already a couple.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So tell me the movies that were also coming out.
So for this year, this movie kind of got double featured because like a month before this came out, Aliens, the sequel, came out. So that kind of got double featured with that. Movie that we also covered this month, Critters, came out.
Okay.
Poltergeist 2, Night of the Creeps, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. God. So yeah. From Beyond, which is like a more of a cult horror film, but it's near and dear to my heart. But yeah, horror, like Psycho 3, I think. Yeah, Psycho 3 comes out that year. So Little Shop of Horrors is that year.
So it's a good year for okay. Kind of monster-y, heavy on the monsters. I'm gonna say it brought in the 80s $58 roughly million.
You're very close. $60.6 million. So you're
said roughly.
Yeah, you're very close. Yeah, it made
awesome.
It made bank. So because of this is where you start getting, this is, the 80s is just like fucking special effects mecca. That's why I love the 80s films. And like, I understand like some people like I'll cite Wyatt, is always just like, it just looks like the acting's corny and all this stuff. It's like, that's not why we're here, kid. We're here for like, this is all like on camera, like not giving anything away, but like the craziness that this film gets to is puppetry and special, like 5 pounds of special effects makeup on somebody and hours of prosthetics getting put on and things like that. It took nearly 5 hours to apply the most extensive makeup stages to Jeff Goldblum in this film. Like, it is obscene how much went into that. But yeah, so those involved with making the film, including David Cronenberg, remember the baboon. Remember? So there's a baboon in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So there's a big thing about this, right? Baboons are straight up a wild animal.
Yes.
And there were instances with this baboon on set that because Jeff Goldblum had become friends with it, he was the only one that was able to like wrangle it. Like literally 6'4" Jeff Goldblum, excuse me, had to keep the primate in check. And
The trainer couldn't even do that. They gave that to the talent.
It's not that they gave it to him. The Wrangler and Jeff Goldblum were the ones that had to keep the primate in check. They're very, in a quote, Cronenberg says, they're very volatile, and there's no such thing as a tame baboon. Jeff, because he was much bigger and stronger than the baboon, was able to dominate him, and the baboon's wrangler said it was a good thing that the baboon formed that friendship. Otherwise, there could have been big trouble on set with some of the female members of the crew.
Maybe they just don't cast a baboon. Like literally, maybe like a rhesus monkey, something that's
it could have been anything, but like it does make for like a very like shocking. I don't know, like just the fact that there is a baboon there and everything. It
was strange, yeah.
I don't know. It just, for me, it works better than if it were just a dog or something like that, because it is so much closer to human, you know. So,
and knowing that they are, like, they could in any instance just rip your face off.
Yeah.
Maybe there was, but oh man. Thank God for Jeff Goldblum.
I say that every day. I wake up and I go, thank God for Jeff Goldblum. He's like, well, yes, you're very, very welcome. But the box office for 1986, we've covered this before. I'll go through it real quick and you'll be familiar with these movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Out of Africa, Ruthless People, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, The Color Purple, Aliens, as previously stated, Back to School, Karate Kid Part 2, Crocodile Dundee, and Top Gun.
Whoop, whoop.
So that's 86, and then this movie comes out. I love it when like there's like the glitz and glamour of like, oh, Top Gun and all this stuff, and then you've got this fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know, like we kind of have that now a little bit, getting back to that, because like you're getting like, you know, like Twisters and like all these like glitzy like Hollywood films. Then there's Terrifier 3 and it's
Is that going to be in theaters?
It's currently in theaters.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is it near you? Like, is it in? Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It's here.
I'm sure we're not gonna get it in our tiny theater.
I don't really plan on going to see it. It's another 2-hour gore flick, which I'll see it when it comes to streaming and stuff, because I gotta check those boxes. But I'm whatever. You can call me a fake horror fan all you want. I don't care.
But what if one of the girls want to go see it?
Well, I'd go. That's always a different thing.
That's always the stipulation.
Yeah, if they're like, Nick, can you sneak me into Terrifier 3? I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm not going to be bothered by it or anything. It's just I've got better.
You're not going to do it.
Well, there's just better movies that I'm willing to spend 2 hours on that are currently coming out and stuff like that. But you know, I got it. We're totally taking a tangent here, but like I've seen my fair share of gore flicks. I went down that rabbit hole and have seen, you know, the worst of the worst, cough, cough, a Serbian film and stuff like that. Things that will break people. So when people are like, oh, Terrifier 3 is so gross, and it's like, I'm sure it is to you. Like, and I'll go see it, and all that'll happen to me is go like, those are some pretty good special effects. And I spent 2 hours watching a special effects tester.
Right, yeah.
It'd be different if the script was good, but it's not. So.
Not why you're there.
No. So there is a weird, like, alternate universe of this film before we got David Cronenberg directing and Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. So initially, the project was slated to be directed by a young Tim Burton.
I could see that.
So this would be a different film, but it would be, you know, like, it wouldn't be too far out of like what he would probably do. It wouldn't go the gross, like legit sci-fi horror like that it becomes, but like I could see like an 80s Tim Burton Fly movie. That would be interesting, at least. What's also really funny is the role of Seth Brundle was declined by a one Michael Keaton.
Oh,
he would have been fantastic.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum is interchangeable. Like he is Seth Brundle to me,
Yeah.
but like when that came up, I was like, that's the only other person I guess that I could think of from that time frame that would work there, because another person that was considered for the role of Seth Brundle, but 20th Century Fox wouldn't allow him to be cast due to critical and commercial failure of a previous film, was one John Travolta.
Oh my God, no. That would be absolute garbage. Good job on them.
Could you imagine? He's like,
No!
whoa, my name's Seth Brundle. Whoa, watch the hair.
Oh my God, no. So bad. So what movie was he in that was a flop that they said no?
Called Two of a Kind from 1983. It's not one that I'm familiar with.
I don't know why I asked, because it was a flop. Then, of course, I'm not going to know what it was as soon as the words came out of my mouth.
I'm about to ask a question that I actually don't know anything about.
Yeah, here we go.
But
Man.
yeah, and real quick before we start getting into spoiler territory, since you did bring it up, the fly's vomit that Y saw was made completely out of honey, eggs, and milk. So
Definitely a milk quality to it.
oh yeah, and the eggs, like the what's the word, like snotty look of it. This is an audio podcast. Natasha is making some of the most vile faces right now.
Join our Patreon and you'll get to see them.
Yes. Yeah, you join the Patreon. You can see Natasha like just revolt on a lot of things. You get to vote on a movie every month that we cover. You know, all the good stuff. We try to produce some like extra material, but like what you get for $5 a month is Natasha being visibly disgusted basically every episode. So yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
You're very welcome. So are you ready to get into spoiler territory?
Yeah, damn right I am.
All right. So if this is your first time listening to Pod of the Dead, welcome. We are a horror film club that, you know, after this point, we're just going to go through the film and openly discuss it like if you were sitting around the table after the movies. At the end of the episode, we will give out homework for next week's episode. So if you hadn't seen it, you might be able to watch it in time to listen to the next episode. And I'll tell you, next episode is a very new film that we will be doing. So you definitely are going to want to do your homework to not have it ruined. But with all that being said, let's jump into the pod and talk about The Fly. All right, Tasha.
Yes.
All that being said, give me that 10 out of 10 review.
You got it, dude. 10 out of 10. One of the best horror movies ever made.
Yep. End of review.
This is, and that's why we're here.
Oh shit. No, hold on.
Huh? Oh, okay. Oh, we didn't give our.
Nope.
Yep.
That was a fake spoiler territory. This is something new that we've been trying to do. What's your initial review on this before we start talking about the film? I'm guessing that you're giving it like a 6.5.
Okay.
What are you giving it?
I'm giving it a solid 4.
Oh, fuck you. End of podcast. A 4?
4.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
What do you think I'm giving it?
I think you're giving it a 7.5.
I'm giving it an 8.25. This is a big deal movie for me. So
See, this is like your 13 Ghosts. You have so much nostalgia. There's so many things that tick boxes for you.
don't you dare say 13 Ghosts in this movie in the same sentence ever again.
I just did. There's a good chance I'll do it again.
I'll just do it. I'll do it. Don't make me do it again. Okay.
Throwbacks.
Spoiler warning. Okay, that's it. So at the end of the episode, we're going to give our full review on what we think after talking about it. And we're going to definitely see how Tasha's wrong. Okay.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
Natasha, give me that 10 out of 10 review.
All right. Well, I'll say the first sentence again, I guess. One of the best horror movies ever made.
Correct. I don't know how you gave it a 4.5 or whatever bullshit you gave it a 4.
You've already forgotten. Yeah,
It was just below 5, which is infuriating.
The Fly is more than a horror movie. It's a statement of the 80s. That's fine. I remember seeing this film for the first time when I was 5 years old.
Hell yeah.
Okay, well, then I don't feel as bad.
This motherfucker goes hard in the paint.
Damn. And telling my friends about the gore scenes. But as I got older and viewed the film again, I realized how much of a tragic love story the film was. Yeah. Jeff Goldblum, that was a surprising, arc that I wasn't ready for.
This movie makes me tear up at the end every time.
Yeah. Like a shrimp. Jeff Goldblum gave an Oscar.
Looks like a shrimp. I just love that. You're like, yeah. Looks like a shrimp.
Anyway, so we'll get into that. Jeff Goldblum gave an Oscar-worthy performance of ill-fated scientist Seth Brundle, and Gina Davis gave an equally good performance as his love interest. The special effects were very good for the 80s, and the film does have some scary moments. If you've never seen this film, you should.
100%. This is definitely one of those films that I'd be like, do you want a good representation of 80s horror? I can give you 5 movies. This is on that list. That's what I say. It's a Rushmore film for me. I love 80s horror films, and here are the films that make me say that easily, But yeah, fucking, I can't believe you gave this a 4 when you just wrote that beautiful 10 out of 10 review.
And here we are now in your alternate universe. Read that 1 out of 10.
Oh, you're talking about my personal hell? I'm gonna say so much in this that I don't believe. This is gonna be just horrible. Why are you doing this to me?
Why'd you write it? I don't understand.
Another sad remake of a good movie. Go to fucking hell, you goddamn piece of trash. All right. It pales in the shadow of Vincent Price's version. Oh, God. I'm so angry right now. It does give a few changes from the original. Better movie. What? How the fuck does this sentence work? It does give a few changes from the original, comma, better. Oh,
the original better movie.
And it should have been in parentheses. Original, because they put better, comma, movie, comma. So, yeah. All right. Sorry. Not trying to be an English major. Here we go. It does give a few changes from the original better movie, but they are just tweaks to give a different tangent made possible with relatively more modern special effects. The accident that causes the transformation is somewhat different, but ultimately the same results. I mean, what do you expect? It's about
it's a remake.
Yeah. Goldblum was a poor choice as the main actor. Fuck you. Oh, Jeff Goldblum is so good in this role.
Yeah, he is.
The twitching and stuff, it's so fucking good. And that's him. They specifically were like, you just need to give us something a little more and everything. And that's what he came up with. So that wasn't you need to start twitching. It was Jeff going well, this is what flies do. And it's so captivating. And okay, all right, let's go through this garbage.
I have so much to say about that. Keep going.
He sounds the same in every movie that he is in. He throws around a tirade of sophisticated science words to make the pseudo-intellectuals think that he is smart and the movie is cutting edge. It actually.
So he's just talking about him and Dr. Malcolm.
Yeah, I just what?
And that his voice sounds the same.
I hate it. God, I just fucking hate Jeff Goldblum's voice, and then he speaks, and it's Jeff Goldblum. How dare he Goldblum up this film? fuck this person. Goldblum is just mechanical. He does not act well. This is like a character assassination, I think.
Yeah.
This movie throws in the blood and gore Hollywood is using for entertainment for the visceral crowd that aspires to violent and base behavior. Okay. Save yourself 95 minutes of wasted life that you will not get back and pass on this movie. okay, Natasha, you found this 1 out of 10 and you sent this vitriol to me. Were there a lot of 1 out of 10s for
There
this?
were. Yeah.
There were.
But they were all kind of hitting on the same thing about it not being as good as the original.
See, I don't see that at all, because I think the original is like, it's your basic like kind of schlocky sci-fi horror film, where this one has so much like pathos and is like such a human film, and you feel like it's like he ends up dealing with his own hubris. There's like the jealousy aspect of, he thinks that she's cheating on him, and it's so expertly crafted in my book from an emotional standpoint. Like the fact that this person wrote this and it's just like, he's so mechanical and stuff. I'm like, it takes a lot for a horror film to make me tear up. And Gina Davis, like watching her fucking fall apart as Jeff Goldblum literally is falling apart is heartbreaking. And then like to find out that they are actually together makes sense why they were able to like capture that on film and stuff like that. So yeah. We have a
visitor.
We have a visitor. So if you hear purring, we do have a cat in Studio B.
Do you hear them? Can you hear it through the mic?
Hear it. Yes. It's okay. Our listeners like cats. So
okay.
Yes.
I didn't realize she was in here until she started pawing at my leg. This is Ginge. Anyway.
Yes. So, yeah, I just don't. Let's get into this. Okay, so we'll just start. We'll loop back to what you said. It looks like a shrimp. What the fuck are you talking about?
So that was one of the biggest complaints I had through this whole movie. Was I was expecting him to turn into a fly, and he turns into this humanoid thing, and then it's at the like literal very end that he finally has some semblance of a bug. Okay. Otherwise, he's just this like giant bulbous thing with gross with gross hairs. Like that was really the only comparison to a fly, were like those little hairs on his back. But when he was like, when he had his little things, once again, sorry for the people that are just listening,
his little pincer
great
face, like
great impersonation. Those little guys and his big eyes. I was like, okay, all I see is a shrimp. So that's what I'm referring to.
Come on.
He was cute. He was
well, and like, okay, so all right. So the movie takes place over 4 weeks and 6 days. That's not told to you like really in the movie or anything. I found that out and I was like, okay, that's how it's like a month of time that this takes place over. And I like that it's just like you're watching him slowly transition, but there's no reason that he would actually turn into a fly, because he's genetically spliced. He's still going to have the genes of a human, but he also has the genes of a fly. So he starts to mutate into this horrid thing that is both. There is a scene that they cut from the film. I have not seen it. Upon doing research, I actually want to see it, even though it sounds horrible. That would actually have foreshadowed that for you. So there's a scene in the movie that they did shoot and they cut out after it was shown at some festivals and stuff, because they said that after that scene it's hard to empathize with Seth, because what he does is he takes the baboon and a cat and puts them in one pod and shoots them over. And this is after he's already had it. So he's doing it for scientific research, but it comes out as this mutated creature that he then like kills. He like beats it to death and kills it to put it out of its misery and stuff.
Beat it to death.
But like people were saying, like when that happens, it's like, well, we can't really deal with that. You know, like at that point, you know, you just can't be like, I feel bad for this guy, because it's hard to see that and then feel bad for somebody.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. That was a component that you were supposed to get, was this, because there was fleeting moments where I felt sorry for him, especially at the end. I did. Yeah. But throughout, I didn't really know how to feel for him, because he is this, not the eccentric part, but like he is this self-centered, like guy, and he keeps trying to throw her into the pod.
Well, he's at that point at the beginning of it. He's not seeing the downfall of it because he's just noticing that he's reinvigorated and all this stuff. And it's like, it must be. And this is just like, he is a scientist. He's taking information and he's trying to figure it out. But, you know, so he's just like, it must be because all my molecules are taken apart and then put back together. And it's just like, I feel so much more alive. It's kind of like a drug, you know, you need to feel this way. This is great. And she's so like reluctant to it and everything. And because he's starting to get more of the fly's primal, like that's the big thing in this is when you get down to like what an animal, an insect, they're very much just like here to breed and survive and stuff like that. That's where you get like, fine, if you don't want to fucking do this, I'll find someone that will, because what it needs to happen is I need someone on my level that's here. And like, it's just this he talks about that with like, you know, fly politics and how there is no politics because
that was weird.
Well, but it makes sense because what he's talking about is that there's no emotion. It's just, you know, mechanical. And that's like, you can kind of look at like ants, you know, it's just about the colony and it's not about like anything else. And that's kind of what he's doing. That's why there's so much sex in it, because that's how flies are. It's just about reproducing and going and going. And that's just what he is. And they're for their size, they're extremely strong, all this stuff. So you see that slowly develop over the film. And then, yeah, like he's even doing the thing where he's researching like it may be showing up as a cancerous thing, and he's literally rotting away, like his ear falls off, which Gina Davis said was the only time in the film that she was actually grossed out because she had to hug him like right after that. And her face that she makes while doing that is her actual reaction. That's not acting. She was just disgusted with it. But yeah, like and when he turns into full Brundlefly, which is called Brundlefly, if they would have just given him like fly eyes, it wouldn't have worked. It's like the big dark eyes. Like there's so much like emotion that's able to be passed. Like you can see that it's sad and all this stuff, and it's it's hard to describe. And I just might be ridiculous because I'm just like, I want to cry because I feel so bad for this character that because of his own jealousy, he puts himself in the position where he gets into the pod and the fly is accidentally in there. And now he's just trying to do the best of it. But through that, it's like Icarus flying too close to the sun. And now he is plummeting to Earth and ultimately, you know, fucking dies.
There is some like research and psychology behind the big eyes. Like there's an evolutionary component to us being empathic to something that has those big eyes, because babies do, baby animals do. So it's like intrinsic for us to feel for something with big eyes in general. Yeah.
Well, I know that's a big thing with like the Japanese kawaii thing, which is like kawaii basically translates to like cute. And that whole thing has like, it's the big eyes, the little features, like it's all that kind of stuff that's like intrinsically cute to the human brain.
Yep. So let's go back to talk about fly politics. That part really confused me because then, and I don't know if it was just him going off on like a crazed tangent, because then he was talking about like wanting to be the first fly politician, and that really lost me. And I like that Gina Davis was even just like, I don't know what you're saying right now.
Well, a lot of that has to do, if you really think about it, it has a lot to do with just like how sporadic a fly, probably how crazy its brain is going from time to time, you know, like it's just all over the place. And he's just, that's what comes to my mind anyhow. Yeah, what happened?
I can see light flash, like you're changing pages in your glasses.
Yeah, but like that's the only thing that makes sense to me is that it's with that. So yeah, he's like, how does he state it? Let's see here.
So are we essentially not supposed to take everything he says as like part of the storyline? It's just him kind of being...
He's just spiraling.
Like, unhinged. Okay.
Yeah, because like he says, have you ever heard of insect politics? Neither have I. Insects don't have politics. They're very brutal. No compassion. No compromise. We can't trust the insect. I'd like to become the first insect politician. You see, I'd like to, but I'm afraid. And then Ronnie's like, I don't know what you're trying to say. And he's like, I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it. But now that dream is over and the insect is awake.
That was so sad.
Yeah. And
I forgot about that part.
Exactly. Like that's the whole build up to it is like, my humanity is gone. I have crossed that threshold of, prior to this conversation, I was at least 51% Seth. Now I am at least 51% Fly. And yeah, he's like, I'm saying I'll hurt you if you stay. Like, that is so fucking like heartbreaking. That I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it, but now the dream is over and the insect is awake. I'm like getting a little like misty eyed over here. Like,
it's crushing.
But that's the insect Tasha is legit like teared up a little bit. So like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the insect politics thing is like, yeah, it's kind of weird, but like, it's just him. And I can wholeheartedly relate to this. He's like talking what makes sense to him. And she's like, I don't understand. It's like, let me try and word this in a way that makes sense to you. Because Steph and I have literally just had this conversation where like I said something and she was kind of mad. I was like, I didn't mean that. Let me rephrase it, because what's going on in my brain is like a mess of words and emotions and stuff. And I'm trying to package that for you and the words that make sense. So what makes sense to him is an insect could never be a politician because there's no compromise, there's brutal, all this stuff. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, I am an insect now. I am brutal. There is no compassion. I will kill you. Like, that's what he's getting out to her at that point. And yeah, that's when fucking crazy. That
was like his last attempt to be like, as far away from me as possible. And that's when he then is still tracking her down. Okay,
that is the last glimpse of humanity in him. That is like, there's still like little bits later, like when he kidnaps her from the abortion clinic and stuff, and he's like, please, and this is so heart-wrenching too, that he's like, please don't kill me. Like, the last remnants of me is in you. When they're on the rooftop, he steals her and everything, and he's like, he's pleading with her, please don't kill the baby, because that's the last bit of me, because he already knows what's in store for him. He's like, please don't. She's like, I can't. He's like, okay. Like, he comes to terms with it, but he's just like, okay, then what needs to happen is I'm going to take you and the baby and myself into the pod, and we will be together forever, because then I can be with you. That's the only way that I can be with you and the child. And that's horrifying. But like, if you look at it from his perspective, which I understand is a stretch, right? But he's so scared of losing everything that he wanted, which was her, and he's going to get this family, and the only thing that he can do, which is uncompromising, brutal, lacking compassion, is this. So yeah, and then we get Brundle Fly Door at the end of the film when he tries to get out, and it fucking splices the genes of him with the pod.
I missed that.
How did you miss that? Did you notice that he's trying to get out as it's... Yeah. And then
I was confused. I was confused. I didn't notice it took part of it, but I was confused as to how he could still be like in the pod, like how the pod could still work. Yeah. With the door open. I was focused on that component. Didn't realize
gotcha.
the door was gone and he was fused with the door.
Yeah, because as he's crawling out, you see that there's like metal parts of him now that are all like interspliced and everything, and that's when he crawls up to her and takes the shotgun to his head, which is
little crab pincher.
So to you, this is not the fly. This is the crustacean. It's crabs and shrimp.
Crab shrimp door. That's him.
Brundle shrimp.
It's a working title. Brundle shrimp. Yeah, that was heart-wrenching. That's where I got a little misty-eyed. And I was like, oh, it's just a tragic love story.
Yeah. And that's what I don't know if I told you. I know I told Steph. I was like, this is a romance. Like, it's a horror film, but it is a romance. It is a love story. It is a tragic love story, but it is. Like, that is the two things, like, that I would tell anybody. It's like, this is a tragic love story that is horrifying.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And those movies, like, even any type of movie like that, when it is just pure romance or like romance horror, those like I love you so much, let me go storylines are the fucking worst. That just happened in I don't know if everyone has, spoiler alert if you've watched Nobody Wants This, but it happens in that too, and it's like I gotta like it's a comedy, it's a rom-com, and I just cried. Like, storyline is just so heart-wrenching.
Well,
anyway.
the thing about that is, if a movie can affect you on an emotional level, it's doing something right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you watch this movie and it brings you to the brink of tears, how on earth could you give it a 4?
Because it was that one little pocket. I've watched it. I don't plan on watching it again because literally the other 90 minutes of it are either slow. The beginning is...
It's all the emotional buildup to get you to the point of caring about the characters.
I wasn't going into this expecting it to be emotional.
Okay.
I was going into this expecting Jeff Goldblum to turn into a fly.
Well, you got both of them. Well, no, that's the problem, is you expect him to turn into a fly, but he actually turned into Mr. Krabs.
Turned into a shrimp crab. So that's why. I'll give it its flowers. Okay. But at the end of the day,
it's gloopy flowers.
There you go. And the gloop, I can do without.
No,
his jaw fell off. He molted.
It did not fall off. Gina Davis ripped it off. And when that happened, David Cronenberg was like, just rip that fucker off. Like, it needs to be visceral. And then, he does molt. And, like, that is amazing. Like, that the face beneath pushes it off and he's stepping out of, like, the flesh that's there. Oh, it is amazing that they were able to pull that off in 1986. It is fucking amazing.
Yes, from a craft, beautifully done. Way to go, guys! From somebody, because they're listening. From somebody that's watching it and is immersed in it. Disgusting.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. It's
exactly.
I
don't want to watch it again.
But no, it's not. But at the same time, though, it's not. This is me selling a car, right?
Yeah, this is you telling me it's not gross.
Well, no. It's not that it's. What I'm saying is, it's not gross to be gross. It's gross because it actually has purpose.
Yeah,
like seeing that happen in nature of. Like an animal, like a tarantula cracking out of its stuff it's gross. Like, it's weird and it's legitimately like alien to like what makes sense to you and stuff. And that's what they did.
And we had a tiny science lesson because at that point Wyatt was I think Wyatt was there for that part. He left at the jaw ripping off part.
Oh, okay. Which is literally the next scene.
Yeah, he left at the very beginning of the molting, and we had like a little science lesson. I was like, oh, here we go. Now he's going to be a fly. He was just the pupa beforehand.
Yeah.
We're going to get some wings, and then still no.
No wings. But
no
was he there for
one wing?
Was he there for the dream sequence where Ronnie gives birth to a maggot?
No, I fast forwarded through that part. I saw stuff happening and he was there and I was like, we'll just go a little bit. It's going to be fine.
Aw, you didn't get to see Gina Davis lose her ever fucking mind because
I went back.
A maggot the size of my arm came out of her.
No. Nobody needs to see that. I can't believe the guy that was reviewing this watched it when he was 5. How can a 5-year-old's head wrap around what was happening?
You don't. You just see it and you're like, oh my God, gross. That being said, the doctor in that scene is our director, David Cronenberg.
Really?
Yep, that's him.
That's cool.
The reason he
part of it.
the reason he ended up putting himself in that position or in that role and stuff is because Mel Brooks said that David Cronenberg looked like a Hollywood plastic surgeon when they first met, and he was like, "Well, fuck, I'll just be the abortion doctor, I suppose. I'll just do that, you know." But yeah, so yeah, we got some molting. Yeah, no fly wings. Sorry, Tasha. Like, did you want to see Jeff Goldblum fly around and everything?
I did. That's exactly what I wanted to happen.
But instead, you got him throwing up on Stathis' hand as it begins to melt away, and then he begins to eat it.
At that point, I was like, okay, I clearly need to learn more about flies.
They vomit on their food.
Happened.
Yeah, they vomit on their food, which is an enzyme that then makes it. He explains it in the film that, like, solid food, it hurts to eat. It has to be liquefied, and that's when he's like throwing up on. Like, she's got the camera, and he's throwing up on all the sweets and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how
I did like that part before the throwing up, where he's just like eating constantly, like all the sugar in his coffee, the candy bars. Somebody makes mention of like, oh yeah, when he's like doing the arm wrestling, he's like, watch out, this guy eats chocolate bars.
Yeah, I love that. I love that as a, like, this guy's a pussy. He likes Hershey Kisses.
Right.
And then he just snaps his arm, takes his prize, and it's just like, I'm gonna fuck this bitch till the sun shines.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one section in the movie that I always forget about. Like, we got to the bar scene and I was like, oh yeah, the arm snapping. Wait, why is this? It's like, oh yeah, because he then takes the girl back, and it makes sense and everything, but that's like the one scene in the film that I'm just kind of like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I like the arm snapping scene. That's shocking. But
and after learning about, like, he's acting as such, the like grabbing her just to like go have sex with her made sense. But otherwise I was like, why is he just trying to find somebody to throw in this pod? Like, that didn't make sense. As if he was supposed to be like in love with Gina Davis and like wanting to be with her, why so easily just carrying this other woman up the steps?
Because he's losing his humanity day by day, and he's becoming more and more primal.
I was just understanding the sugar component. That part really resonated with me.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't really have a whole hell of a lot more here. So if you want to get into our actual end of episode review on this film, we can do that. So I said previously at the top of the episode that I give this movie an 8.25. What do you think that I give it after we have discussed it?
I think you love it even more now. So I'm going to say an 8.5.
Yeah, you're right. I like this movie a lot.
This just like honed in your love for it.
Yeah, just talking about it just makes me go like, God damn this film. God damn this film. And it's the love is not 100% solely because of the gloopiness. It's the pathos of it. It's the humanity in this film that really pushes this high. Like, I don't know. Like, I fucking love this movie. Like, it is, and it's in and out in an hour and a half. You know,
yeah.
What more do you really want? Obviously, Tasha wants less gloop and more Jeff Goldblum fly wings, but you know, whatever.
The title was deceiving. I'm a very literal thinker, so that one was like, where are the wings?
I suppose. All right, so what did you originally give this?
A 4.
I think after talking, you're just gonna give it a 4.5.
You are correct. 4.5. Because I genuinely don't see myself ever watching this again. And if 5 is the the cutoff to like, will you watch it again?
Yeah, that's fair. That's
And
where
it's-
I'm at too. But
Yeah, and it's for the gloop. Like, I hate to say that. Like, the disgust of it took me out of it. The storyline is very good. Jeff Goldblum is fucking phenomenal. Gina Davis is good. I'm not a huge Gina Davis fan, so, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, like him, like his lack of teeth at that
His
one point where
teeth
he's just like,
falling out.
he's just putting all of his shit in the medicine cabinet.
yeah, the Brundle Natural History Museum,
Yeah,
where
of
he's
him
pulling
as
his
a human.
fingernails off.
Yeah, I don't need to see that in a love story, man.
You know what? I need to see that in more love stories. You know, David Cronenberg's The Notebook. Give it to me.
No. So for those reasons, yeah, it's staying low. Like, I don't like body horror. It does. It's gross. It's just gross. That's where we are.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I love that this is like Jeff Goldblum is known for this movie. And for that, I'm glad I finally watched it. Like I said, it was nothing like I expected. I just like, even if it was just like, I'm going back to The Wings, man. Even if it was just like one that just like popped out a little bit and it was ineffective and didn't work, just something to make it like a fly. I don't know. That's all I got. So I'm giving it a 4.5.
All right. The IMDb natural consensus on this film is a 7.6. So for a horror film, that's extremely high. Like once you start pushing to that 8 territory, like damn. So this is a beloved film, but again, like you pointed out, it's like you got to be down with, you know, body horror. Like this is like and body horror is like the horror of the flesh, like all that kind of stuff. And that's always very interesting to me because it's not something that I can conjure in my brain. I see it and I'm just like, oh my God, it's so whatever, you know? So what's that give us?
Oh, sorry. This gives us, I'm an outlier. So sorry, guys.
No,
it gives The Fly a 40.
it does not. There's no way. You did your math wrong again.
8.5 plus 4.5
Plus
7.6
divided by 3.
My math wrong. That's a different number than I had the first time.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
Yes.
That gives The Fly a 67.
That's more like it. You're like, this gives it a 40. I'm like, you just took your score and made it lower.
Oh, you're right.
You work at like.
We don't even talk about it.
You are like, you have been a teacher and now what the fuck?
I'm not a teacher.
You were though, weren't you? At one point?
Oh yeah. And the funny thing is that's even like a terrible thing to say because I do percentages for so much of my data.
You're getting fired. You're getting fired very recently. Like soon there will be a phone call and an email that they'll be like, well, we listened to those last 2 episodes and we need to have a talk.
Clearly, you don't know how to take data, which is 80% of your job. You can just go away now. Nothing can be trusted.
Let's consider you 90% fired.
So I've got a chance.
Oh, we're doing your math. You have no chance. That 10.
That 10% is the number I forgot to put in.
That 10% is 100%. The 90% doesn't matter.
Back to what I was going to say. So I'm learning, which I didn't realize beforehand because I was never really like monster-y, but I'm learning. I was expecting this to be a monster movie. And knowing that there is a difference, but it's not. I feel that there's a big difference between a monster movie and a body horror movie.
Yes, but you're also trying to think of this as like a creature feature when this is actually more close to Frankenstein. Is what I think of with this, where it's the horror of what it is to be human.
It's that transition, losing your humanity.
Yeah.
Where was Frankenstein ever a human?
No, but it's the thing of that he's alive.
Or Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster is built up of human pieces, and it's trying to understand what it is to be human, and everything is against him because he's a monster, but it's all that stuff, you know, like...
I find that more palatable and less less scary, I guess, than the opposite of it like slowly slipping away. It kind of goes back to that scene in The Dark and the Wicked where it's like, oh shit, I'm losing everything.
Yeah.
And I'm cognizant of losing everything. That cognition component really can do a number to people.
Yeah. So it is homework time. And this will be our first film for November. So we'll be in the Thanksgiving season and everything. And we will be covering the Osgood Perkins 2024 film. So this year, Longlegs.
Woo, woo. I'm excited for this one.
Yep. And I don't know if this is on any streaming services yet. I know it probably will be by the end of the year, but you can get this on Blu-ray. It's on video on demand and stuff like that. Like for probably like $5, you can rent it for the night or whatever.
It looks like it's rentable for $10 on most Fandango, Apple TV, Google Play, Amazon for $9.99.
Hey, and if you live near me, I've got a copy, and you can just bum it off me. It's cool. I've got the Nicholas horror and martial arts film library behind me. That's all it basically is. There's also some Eddie Izzard DVDs, Lord of the Rings, and then like a couple box sets of anime that I like. That's about it. But yeah,
we need to make you a plaque. Just a little plaque for it.
Yes. Yeah. like a Library of Congress,
right?
Kind of
The Library of Horror / martial arts / Eddie Izzard.
Yes. Very multicultural film library. So next week we're going to be doing Longlegs. I'm very excited to go over this film, and I'm excited to see what you have to say about it, Tasha, because I have a feeling that this is going to be up your alley. But yeah, so for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.